Hello, this is Nancy Heins-Glaser with Meet the Artists here at SOMAtv, and tonight we have a unique offering, a new twist on art in a different way, and I'm joined today by the guests from the South Orange Historic and Preservation Society and the South Orange Methodist Church to talk about the upcoming Historic Gems House Tour. And I'm excited to have you all. We have Brian Hanlon, President of the South Orange Historic and Preservation Society, Nina Barszcz, who's Vice President and House Tour Coordinator, and Havre Cunningham, who's a representative of the Methodist Church here to talk a little bit about that. And really, the whole reason I wanted you on, and we're going to talk some more about design and house styles, but it's a red letter year this year for the Historic Society, right, Brian?
Yep, it's our 25th anniversary. We were founded in 1986 by a group of South Orange residents who were concerned about losing a couple of important historical buildings in town, and organized to try to get more interest in preservation and save and learn about more of the treasures that South Orange has.
Well, actually, I think I've had some people say the whole town should be a historic district because there's so much spread throughout, and you have to kind of be looking for it. And that's where you come in, Nina, because as the house tour coordinator, this is, which year is it for the house tour?
This is the fourth year.
Okay.
Although I think there were house tours way back.
Yes.
But in recent history, this is the fourth tour.
Okay, and that was South Orange Neighbors, and
Yes.
then of course Montrose Park Historic District Association,
Correct.
I think picked up from that, and but you guys have been on it, so it's every other year you share it with Montrose Park,
Correct.
right? And the interesting thing about this is that the Historic Society features the entire town.
That's right.
Right? And so from one end to the other. And so you get a chance to really see all the neighborhoods, maybe?
Yes, that's right.
And you guys, tell us a little bit about how you select the buildings and houses that are on the tour.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of reasons why we might go after a house to put it on the tour. One is, of course, if it's a very good example of a particular architectural style. That would be one reason. Another reason would be some sort of historical significance to the town. And we try to have a little bit of something for everybody. So sometimes the house is just very interesting. People have interesting collections, whether that's art or sculpture, gardens. So over the years we've evolved to include a number of different things. We have food. We have we have sometimes artists come and bring their art to the house.
Yeah.
We have music. So because people come for different reasons, we want to try to appeal to a wide variety of of the senses. But basically, our primary purpose in putting on the house tour is to promote education about the history of the town and the different architectural styles and the gems that we have in the village.
And that's why it's called the Historic Gems House Tour, right?
That's right.
And this year, each year you pick a different ticket location. I think the first year was Our Lady of Sorrows.
That's correct.
And probably because the house tour coordinator that year was affiliated at that time.
Right.
And then the following year, I think, where was it?
The Connet Library.
The Connet, the Eyes Building.
Yes.
And I've heard it pronounced Connet. I don't know if it's Connet or Connet, but the original library.
That's right.
And then the year after that was St. Andrew's and Holy Communion
That's
Church.
correct, yes.
As a ticket location.
Correct.
And
then this year we have South Orange Valesburg Methodist Church, which was another sort of unsung gem that sits there right almost in the center of, right smack in the center of town, and very striking and unusual architectural style. So we approached the folks at the church and to see if they would be interested in hosting us as the ticket location, and they were kind enough to say yes. So we're very happy
that's
about
great.
that.
That's this year, and it's 150 South Orange Avenue, right at the corner of
correct.
Prospect Street and
Yes.
South Orange Avenue.
Yes,
Right.
across from Rite Aid and the funeral, the
Preston?
Preston Funeral Home.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. And so we wanted you to come on because you're part of the church, and I can say that I am as well, but we wanted you to come on as the youth, okay? Because we're all older than that. But why does it interest you to see that the church is going to be part of this? You don't even live here now, right? You live in
No,
Montclair,
I live
right?
in Montclair,
Yeah.
sorry, yes.
Yeah.
And at the time, I didn't even live in South Orange. I emigrated from the Caribbean, and my mom, I think there's a small Caribbean population there, and that's how we started going to the church. I think I've been for about 15 years now. It's been, and I think history in itself. I didn't realize that the church was so old. I mean, you think of churches are old. I think, and especially now, I think kids, they forget that it has so much history. That, for instance, the parish house, I'm not sure how long it was there before the fire.
Yeah, the same length of time as the structure.
So I think things like that, it's it kind of teaches you, makes you more interested, just learning about everything, the past, and it makes you feel like you're a part of something.
Well, and that's really, I mean, I think that's sort of what everybody hopes for in the process of doing a house tour or a tour at all, is that you feel a connection on a different sort. So now you're going to help us a bit at the church, I think, this year maybe. You don't even know that yet, do you? But
I'm
you know,
always willing. I'm always a help.
yeah, I hope so, because one of the things that people who come on the tour, they're from all over, right? They're not just from South
Absolutely,
Orange. They're
yes.
from all over. And one of the things they want to hear about is the tidbits, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of history, something significant. You want to make it historic, I don't mean that, but they're interested also in the people who might have gone there or lived there, because they also want to connect with the history, just like you said.
Yeah.
Kids want to.
It's
really.
true. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know, I'm excited because I've admired the structure for many, many years, and people drive that street, may not ever see it on the inside. And just like a lot of churches, though, everybody needs help. And, you know, synagogues as well, we all need to keep them maintained. So that's a challenge, too. Not everybody's willing to open up their doors, you know, in the houses. So, for instance, Brian, when you guys picked the houses, you and Nina picked the houses and everybody else, last time, you have to go through a lot of people who say no.
That's right.
You identify the house that you want, and then they can say no.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, it's a challenge sometimes because not everybody is willing to open their doors, and so we're just particularly grateful to the people who are willing to do that and share their wonderful homes with the community and outside the community. Because, you know, not everybody lives every day like they do when, you know, the way the house looks when it's on the tour. So, you know, there's a certain amount of work and preparation to get ready for the tour. You know, but we start early, we try. And
Yeah, you do. It's a long process. I mean, you start planning for the next one the day after almost
That's right.
the prior one. And
That's
I
right.
know the work that's involved with it. But, you know, Havre, I know if you come and help out with the tour, you're going to get a real big kick out of it. And then also because you are younger, some of the younger people might come on board and come and have a look around.
And I think we want that opportunity. I think we don't have much history. Everything is new. It's technology. It's everything. And I think we forget that. Or it's exciting when you see that there's a history somewhere, like churches or the homes that you guys go in and present to us. You kind of forget all of that. I think everybody, they want bigger and better, and we kind of lose what was before. And I think we need to see that, or my generation needs to be a part of it, or more.
Are you trying to say you're not in my generation? Well, we know you're not, because I knew you when you were 9 or 10, and you
Way
know
back.
we met in a funny acquaintance through a business contact, and you remembered me dressing up like strawberry
I know.
shortcake or something.
I
But
remember the voice.
yeah, that's I guess that would be, and the hyphenated
Yeah.
name, right? But anyway, so Brian, this must feel good to you because a lot of the members are still the same members that were part of the Historic Society. for
There's,
25
we
years.
have
When did you hop on board?
7 years ago.
Oh, longer, wasn't it? I feel like you've been around
It's
a long
possible.
time.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean, I remember videotaping the Victorian dinner at David Gassman's home, the former president, and I remember the way it got started was trying to preserve the parish house, or I guess it was called the rectory for St. Andrew's and Holy Communion, which no longer exists now.
Right.
And it's on the corner, I guess, what is that, the northwest corner of South Orange Avenue
And
at
Ridgewood.
Ridgewood, right? And so people gathered round to try to save it. It didn't get saved, but you have been participating in saving a lot of other structures or raising awareness. If that's all
Yeah.
that one can do. You know, and the old stone house, for instance, I know that sort of may be up for auction, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's all about awareness. Now, Nina, you know, you and your whole team, you go out, you're looking, you drive by, you make some
We
selections.
scour the neighborhood.
You scour. Yeah, and so it does come down to people being willing. But I'm sure you're looking for representative time periods.
We
right?
are. You know, we try to tell a story every year with the tour, and every year is a little bit different. So the first year in 2005, it was more of a neighborhood tour. Started at Our Lady of Sorrows, as you mentioned, and was kind of in the Prospect Street area and environs. And then in the following year, when we started at the Conant Library, I think we had more variety. That was the year that it was a little bit more spread out. We included the Mushroom House. There was a lot of curiosity about some of the houses that were on the tour that year. And I think that was the year we really kind of came into our own. I think we had about 500 or so people that came out. And this was the year that you ran
Oh,
the house
well,
tour.
no. I don't think I did, but anyway, that was a dream, wasn't it? Well, we have 2 minutes left. I forgot to say, what is the date? I mean, we don't want to date the show because it's about more than just an event, but tell us the date, would
The
you
date
please?
is Saturday, May 21st. It starts at 11 o'clock and runs until 4. And as you mentioned, the tickets will be on sale on our website, which is www.sohps.org. And then also the day of the tour at the church.
Right, and then in advance, there's a discount, and the docents also get a discount, so
That's
they can
correct.
not only be part of it in a 2.5-hour slot, they've got the rest of the day to go on the tour for less money. And, you know, we're going to repeat this again because we're doing a second segment on the arts, and I have about a minute left, but these are some of the wonderful things. John Overall designed this poster. He's also somebody who works really hard for the society. And this is photos that he gathered together for the Methodist Church. The church remains pretty much unchanged since its original building. But one of the things that people get a kick out of, I think, is the design elements too, and that's what we're going to talk about next. This is an old house tour booklet. A number of them are from the years. And is there anything you want to say with regard to the church, Ray, before we go out to break? And we're going to lose you, so anything you want to make sure you say? Or have you said it all?
Pretty much, but I wish that I want everybody to come out and take a look at the church, only because it's been a part of my my childhood and now my adult life. And I think even there's some parts of the church that I haven't even discovered yet. So I think it's important and interesting as well for everybody to come out.
For everybody. It's a unique structure and should be shared and enjoyed by all. And that's the hope, isn't it? Guys,
Yes.
we're going to take just a brief break, and then we're going to come back and talk about design, house styles, how to stage a house, and all of that. And I want to thank you all for joining us. And Nina, you're not going anywhere. Brian and Havre, I think you might be able to be free from the set. But please stay tuned. Don't turn that dial. We're going to learn more about the South Orange Historic and Preservation Society's Historic Gems House Tour 2011. Thanks for joining us, and don't go away.
Hi, this is former Governor Tom Kean. I answered the Jersey call to service. Now you can too. Join me and thousands of people from all corners of New Jersey in making the positive changes we need. With only a couple of hours, you can learn how to bring solutions that will cut government waste and improve the quality of life in your hometown. Answer the Jersey call to service. Go to jointhecampaign.com.
And welcome back. This is Nancy Heins-Glaser for another Meet the Artist program on SOMAtv. And tonight we're talking about the South Orange Historic and Preservation Society's Historic Gems House Tour 2011. And now we're going to talk a little bit about the design elements of the tour and what that means. So we have a little bit of a shift. Nina, you're still with us, the house tour coordinator, Nina Bars, and vice president of the organization. John Overall, our poster designer extraordinaire, map maker, advertiser, whatever, and Mary, and also an excellent.
I think I'm the last founding member of the historical society.
You are certainly one of the founding members, I think, from 25 years ago. So, and Mary Jo Malone, who's an interior designer and decorator, and decorator consultant, I think is the word for it, right? Yes. And you're all working on the tour this year, and you each have design elements that you can talk about. So, John, I'm going to just start with you and the posters and the program booklets that you've been doing through the years. You've kept the design consistent, but you change the image every year, which is pretty neat.
Yes.
How do you do that?
I do a lot of Photoshop.
Okay.
And I actually came up with a new design this year, and people said, we like the old one, so.
Well,
stuck
you
with
know,
it.
it's history.
Yes.
Sometimes it's hard
Right.
to let go of it, even if
Yes.
it's only been a few years,
Yes,
right?
Right.
Yeah, well, I think
Sure.
it makes it nice to have it. It's a brand.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
not changing it's a
There's
great idea,
continuity to
right?
it, where
Yes.
people
Right,
recognize
right.
it.
Thank you.
And I think that's
Mhm.
why it was so good, that people do recognize it every time we have it.
And they pull it out, and you know, and so the first year we talked about was Our Lady of Sorrows. You have the
Yes.
original Sorrows
Yes.
Church from the early days, I think. The second one, if I'm doing right by this, I hope so, the great old Victorian on Prospect Street that almost everybody knows. Who was on, what was it, John Deegan? Was that
Henry
his-
Dutton
Henry
Deegan.
Dutton Deegan, who was the first Sunday school master at the Methodist Church
Yes.
just down the street. Last time, which was 209, I don't know, but this is a fabulous
This is the
house
Quarry House
The
on
Quarry
Crest
House.
Drive,
Yes.
yes.
on Crest Drive, and this year your stunning centerpiece on the poster
Yes.
is
The Squire Redmond House.
Squire's Redmond. Oh, it's Squire or Squires? I never knew the
Squire.
difference. Squire.
Squire.
Okay. I want to put an S on it.
Yes,
Forgive me if I
yes.
do before the end of the show. But anyway, so what
Which
you
we
do,
believe is from 1774.
Right.
Which makes us one of the oldest houses in South Orange.
that would be true.
Yes.
Oldest existing,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
continuously lived in, if
Yes.
I understand it.
Yes.
Yes.
Are there any additions to the house?
It's been, yes, it has been, it's had a couple of additions. It's been expanded on both sides of the house. It's got the original house intact, though. It's got some original features, and the additions are very sensitive to the original time period. so.
Absolutely.
Well, one of the fun things about the booklet is you describe the house style. So, Nina, how do you do all that research?
Well, you know, some of the house styles, I mean, I'm familiar with the different architectural styles, and we're lucky in South Orange to have so many different types of house styles, some of which are fairly rare. In fact, we're going to have some good examples this year of not so common architectural styles. But what we also do is we do history. John is our resident historian, so he's already got a store of knowledge about former residents in town, famous people who may have lived in some of these houses. And we also do a lot of deed research. I go down to Newark to the Hall of Records and look at the deeds going back as far as I can, and sometimes you just never know what you can find. Like a couple of years ago, there was some writing down on one of the beams in the cellar of a house that we couldn't quite make out, and then when we did the deed research, we realized it was a Fenner home.
Fenner,
Yeah, from the
okay,
family
and that's a
Fenner.
pretty well-known
Yes.
name. I'm actually still trying to figure out who Ernest Schultes is. That's the guy who built our house, who was supposedly an inventor who worked for Edison, which is a lot of the people who worked for Edison lived in this area. So now, Mary Jo, you got involved a couple of years ago working on interiors? for
Two tours ago, so I've been around now for a little while, probably as long as Brian then.
It just seems like you guys have been here forever, so I'm not good at timing. But when you go in and you look at a home that's going to be on the tour, you go in advance and you talk.
Absolutely.
I'm assuming more than just you. There are probably several of you. We have, Anya also, Anya Elia, who's a designer working as well. You go in and you talk to the homeowner. Is that what you do about what you envision for staging?
Yes.
Is that what you do?
We get an idea of what the homeowner is like, and we talk to them about what they might want to do. Some people want to dive right in and start painting and bring in a contractor and do the whole thing. Other people, we just move furniture around. We declutter a little bit if there's clutter. We create collections. Anya and I were talking about this yesterday. I had a lovely gentleman who had 500 choir boys, porcelain Hummels, that we had to find a way to present them because they were part of his home. So they made an impact. And of course, collections of artwork. And so we want to integrate and personalize it, but we have to make sure that it doesn't look lived in for the tour.
And you're sensitive to the style of the homeowner though too, because you know, as you get it ready, I mean, they're still living in it. It's sort of like staging a home for sale. I think that's a pretty challenging thing
very similar.
for someone to continue living in it. But, you know. And so do you guys work together to do, I mean, you say, look, we have a stick style Victorian in advance. Does Mary Jo go with you?
Yeah,
Anya and
the process is that we start hunting around for houses, and we like to tell a story, you know, every year, and every year is a little bit different. So we never really know what that story is until we, you know, start to get a few houses that are committed to being on the tour. And, you know, like Mary Jo said, some of the houses are done, and there's very little for us to do. Some require a lot of work to get ready for the tour. But if the house is special enough, then, you know, we're willing to do that.
We want to make sure that you see the bones of the house and that you highlight the historical parts of it. So that's a challenge.
Well, and yeah, you want to make it, you want to enhance it without covering it up, and sometimes, you know, don't come to my house. That's all I can tell you. Because
What's interesting this year, we have a house from 1774 and we have a house from 2006. So we're covering the entire gamut of South Orange
We have
history.
4 centuries.
that's outstanding. That really is. So they'll be able to get a visual walk through time, basically,
Yes.
just by this tour. So.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I know when you mentioned in the first segment, you were talking about restaurants and food. I mean, this has really picked up steam. So now, not only do you have the cellist who wants to play and the piano player who wants to play, but you have food vendors that
That's right.
want to
Caterers.
actually provide that
right.
as part of the day. So it's all part of the festival feel, right?
And I think 2 years ago was when we added the jitney service, because, you know, as you mentioned, we do cover the whole town, and although it's nice to have a walking tour, sometimes that's not always possible, you know, to have that concentration. So the jitney allows people to just kind of get on and just make a day of it without having to get in and out of the car all day.
And I remember last time somebody took the bike, and I really I couldn't believe it. So there is even the possibility people can take their
sure.
bikes.
If they're in shape.
If they're in shape, it wouldn't be me, I'll just tell you that.
You won't find us
No,
out there.
no. And so Mary Jo, well, John, I know you were part of selecting. All of you have had at least a hand in
That's right.
looking at some of the houses. You know, Brian's you've all been out on the road. Besides wanting a person to just say, yes, that's great, do you ever go, God, I wish we could have that house on the tour? And
absolutely.
somebody will say, get back to us for the next time in 2 years.
Yes.
Yes.
And you just know they're not going to do it anyway, right? And then you have someone like me who's sending you ideas of what I think you should have on the house tour, and I
Well,
don't
we
have any
have, we
idea.
have 3
those
definites
ideas.
for the next tour.
Oh, good. That's good for you. All lined up, huh?
yes.
Good. In
We're always
fact, one of the
recruiting.
houses
Yes.
I think had one of the first village presidents in it for the next tour.
Yes,
So we got to
yeah.
have people
Yes.
stay tuned for 2013. But you know, I think the idea that you have a chance to have a look and then you might have to go look again. I was involved in helping select some art. I shared my art. One of the homeowners, a younger homeowner, couldn't certainly run out and buy work. But I said, come shopping at my house, and we found some good stuff that
Wonderful
fit.
things.
Yeah, well, it worked
was,
out okay.
Yeah, we worked together in that.
Yeah, that's right. And you know, like you said, some of the people, in fact, one of the homeowners you worked with in the past did their fireplace mantle, and they really go all out for it.
Yeah.
And I have had it said to me that Llewellyn Park in West Orange has fabulous homes and a wonderful tour, but the homeowners around here are what people really enjoyed. because people are so proud to show it, as opposed to it being a museum piece or something. They're
Yes,
really
yes.
Yeah.
living,
It's
breathing
living
houses.
history.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Right.
And the most interesting houses, I think, for people are not necessarily the show places, although that, people like to see those as well, but they're the houses that really show people's interests and their character, that are special, and they don't look like they just came off a designer showroom floor.
All right, John, when is the date again? Because we don't want to close this out without
May
saying the date.
21st,
And from,
11 to 4.
and where does it start?
It starts at the Methodist Church, which is on the corner of Prospect and South Orange Avenue.
150 South Orange Avenue.
Yes. Right.
And
And I think people are really going to be surprised, because when we were initially selecting the church, and we'd say, well, we'll meet at the Methodist Church, and people would say, where's that?
which church is that?
Yes.
They know it, they're not,
Yes.
but it's
Right.
rounded, it's Romanesque. I just read the
Yes,
Romanesque
yes,
revival.
you
I
know.
have about a minute and 3/4 left.
Right.
Is there
But
anything anyone must say?
I think the people will get to know the church, and I think they might even get new members and whatever.
And you don't
Yes.
really know, but at least
Right.
they'll have a chance to see that amazing
Yes.
structure.
It is.
Yes.
Right, it
absolutely
really
beautiful.
is. 1901, the cornerstone was
Right.
laid, but the congregation, the second
Right.
oldest
Right.
in town,
And we
I
will
think.
have boutiques there too.
You will
Yes.
have some vendor tables, and
Yes.
Absolutely.
Anya will be there, and you will
Yes.
be there, I
Yes.
think,
Right.
as
And-
consultant, designer, decorator type people.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
And we have two vendors, I know, that have
Yeah.
wonderful artifacts and ephemera.
L'Entrepôt is going to be in.
And Revolution Decor, we
Yes,
think, right?
yes.
And
Two guys
from
GFF.
Newstead.
Two guys from Newstead.
Okay, I have 1 minute left, that's it.
Okay.
Is there something we have forgotten that can
Well,
be
we
said in
also
30 seconds
we
or
also have a
less?
number of items which the historical societies put together. The 1877 map of South Orange down there, and up there is the 1904 map.
And those will be for sale.
Those will be for sale.
Wonderful.
And we have postcards, and hopefully we'll have T-shirts, and
Who knows? We'll have a good
Yes.
time. That's we know.
Banana.
yes.
So, okay, it's time for us to say goodbye. May 21st, 11 to
Yes.
4, Southern Historic and Preservation Society's Historic Gems House Tour. Be there or be square, as they say.
Okay.
And
Check
we
on-
have no more time, so we
Check on
gotta go.
check on our website.
Oh,
SOHP
www.
SOHPS.org.
Okay, and thank you so much for joining us. Come on out for the house tour. See what a great place this is to be. We hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for joining us here in the studio.
Thank you,
Thank
Nancy,
you.
for having us.